Hi guys, it's Thomas here from COTbase.com. Welcome to our weekly COT review. Today we're going to be analyzing the 8th Commitments of Traders Report of 2022. And as we always do, we shall start off by looking at the largest changes in commercials positions. Before we jump to the review, just a reminder for those of you who are new to COT analysis that here at COTbase.com you will find a lot of educational material, not only in written format, but we have some very useful videos as well. So let's get back to the review and start off with our first market, which will be gold. You can see it's on top of our list with a 31% change in commercials positions. You can see commercials on the left side of this table. And this, of course, is based on a 52-week look-back period. Now, commercials are represented with the red line. So here you go. You can see that change on the chart. It's definitely greater than average. I should point out that last week we had a change larger than average without any effect on the market. And these things happen. There's plenty of examples for the opposite when these change signals do show or indicate a shift in the movement of traders the next couple of days. So COT change signals, of course, can affect the market in the near term. The 5-year chart will allow us to examine the extreme situation, stress levels in this market. And as you can see, the past few weeks, we have been actually growing the stress level towards the bearish side of the market. Now, one might ask, is this the time to sell out? Of course, it's hard to tell. One thing's for sure, even on this 5-year chart, you can see that we have had greater extremes in the past. So that just suggests that we may see further strengthening in this stress in the gold market before we reach a top. Okay, the next market for the review is feeder cattle with a 31% change, but in this case we are talking about a bullish COT change signal. So going back to the 1-year chart, you can see the magnitude over there. Now you might ask, why is the change side like visually here smaller than the one we saw in gold? It's simply because the 52 weeks time horizon on which we are examining this change size, the amplitude of that, so the most bearish and bullish extremes are not that far away from each other. So that's the reason why we have that larger value. Nevertheless, it suggests that we may see a bit of a rise early next week. Moving on to the 5-year chart, you can see that we are more leaning towards a bullish extreme, which of course suggests we may see the continuation of this rally that's going on. Another metal for the review, platinum, with a 23% change in commercials net positions. Jumping to the 1-year chart, there you go. You can see it on the chart being greater than average, maybe top 10, suggesting weakness coming next week. 5-year chart, here we go. You can see that it is not as bearish as we saw in the case of gold. It's not bullish either. So the most bullish extreme was back over here in 2018, September of 2018, pushing the market higher. Of course, there was a time due to COVID when prices sunk underneath that level, but overall, I think we can state that that was a pretty good a bullish extreme signal. And of course, here we had the most bearish extreme in January of 2020. So we are more or less in between those two extremes, so not much to talk about from the extreme analysis perspective. And I'm just going to go over to another market, silver, 17% change over there, simply because silver is one of the most exciting markets for me personally. I love trading silver. Here we go. That's the bearish COT change signal. So we've been seeing this rally going on for a couple weeks now. And this is a somewhat reasonable size change in traders' net positions, suggesting some weakness. We'll see. The picture here, again, similar to platinum, comparing to gold, is not as bearish, I must say. So actually you can see back over here from 2017 a much greater bearish extreme. That is definitely not the case, which I'm very happy about if I'm interested in a bull market here in silver. So we shall see. I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that bearish COT change signal, I must admit. But overall, if you look at the metals complex, there is bearish change signals over there. So Let's move on and have a look at large speculator COT Extreme. We've got the Euro-Japanese yen currency pair at all-time extreme for large speculators. Now, caution is advised. This is a market that has limited COT history dating back until 2017. And as you may see, these horizontal lines, during these times, there was simply not enough data to compile for CFTC. So it's not the most reliable COT report, I must admit. So, I mean, of course, it can be considered more of a bullish extreme, but I would definitely advise to analyze the euro and the Japanese yen separately to come to a conclusion if you're trading this currency pair. The next market is the Brazilian real with a 260 report extreme in large speculators positions. You can see that on the chart over there. It's an unquestionable bearish extreme, suggesting a shift downwards in the next couple of weeks and month ahead of us. And last but not least, let's open the Mexican peso, which is standing at a 62 report extreme. This, of course, can be considered a bullish extreme in the market. We talked about it last week, not a major change since then. So that's all for this review. But of course, you may be wondering, what about the other markets? Well, here at COTbase.com, of course, you can access all the different markets that have a COT report on. You can analyze the classic legacy COT report that we do in these reviews, or you can shift your attention to the more the newest report types, the disaggregated, the traders and financial futures, and the commodity index traders report types. You can look at futures only data, options only data, or you can just stick to the futures and options data type if you want to. There's a lot of data sets to analyze. There's a lot of tools to use. So we only use a few in these reviews, but you can actually look at the COT index, the COT move index. We have the long-term trend indicator. We also added the volume and open interest analysis feature to the system. If you want, you can dig deep in a specific market COT report. You can see this is the Australian dollar, and there's like a ton of data to analyze. If you're somebody who's interested in a specific commercial short versus open interest, then of course you can do that as well. I should point out we have some very useful indicators for the more sophisticated traders. The COTbase Pro, which includes everything that you just saw on the website, but you can actually use the indicator within NinjaTrader and do your own settings and everything. So that's very useful. You can also download the data in the Pro version. The iCOT intraday indicator on the right over here is a very unique tool that we came up with a couple years ago. And it took a long time to develop, but it's mainly focused on the concept of COT analysis, but it's reverse engineered COT data. That's how we call it. It's not data coming from CFTC. It's our own unique intraday indicator that I think is a wonderful tool to help you enter and exit trade. So you can see this is gold on a 1-minute candlestick chart. And these are the signals that the system is giving. And you can see that we are actually looking at very similar charts as in the case of classic COT data analysis. A very useful tool that I think would be beneficial to everyone. Give it a try if you have not done yet. Thank you very much for your attention. I truly appreciate you being with me, and I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.